Two brand new continuous glucose monitoring systems are being launched in 2021, FreeStyle Libre 3 and Dexcom G7. In this video I will try to compare them and tell you which one I think will be more successful. Let's go! Hey, welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, my name is Tom. I've been type 1 diabetic for over 30 years and on this channel I help you navigate your diabetes journey. Guys, before I jump into this video and start comparing the G7 and Libre 3, I just want to say everything I will be sharing in this video is my own subjective opinion based on the information I have available right now. And I might be wrong because none of these devices has been launched to a wider public yet, and some of the technical specifications might slightly change in the future. Now, I haven't personally tested the FreeStyle Libre 3 or the Dexcom G7, but I spoke to other diabetics who either tested the FreeStyle Libre 3 during the initial drop in Germany or participated in the Dexcom G7 clinical trial. So let's get right into it. As you probably already know, both Dexcom G7 and Libre 3 will be a real-time factory calibrated continuous glucose monitors with ICGM level performance. This means that they will both securely transmit your real-time blood glucose data from the sensor to your phone or other digitally connected devices via Bluetooth. In other words, you don't need to remember to check your blood sugar because the data is fed automatically to your device minute by minute. So let's talk about design and size. FreeStyle Libre 3 will have a size of a 5-cent coin or 2 stacked pennies. So the sensor is 70% smaller and the packaging is 40% smaller than the previous generations. I still can't believe it's so small. The Libre 3 only comes in one piece, which makes the application process a lot easier compared to its predecessor. And the sensor is fully disposable after you've used it for 14 days. The Dexcom G7 will be 60% smaller than the Dexcom G6. Its size will be somewhere between a quarter and a nickel, which is a great improvement, but it is still quite a bit bigger compared to FreeStyle Libre 3. The G7 will be fully disposable as well, and this is a big change, because its predecessor, the G6, came in two separate parts, and we used to move the transmitter from one sensor to another. Now we will not have to do that anymore, which on one hand is good, but on the other hand there are users who extend the life of the Dexcom G6 sensor by doing a little trick, so removing the transmitter from the sensor and then connecting it back to the same sensor. And this little trick enables them to use the same sensor for more than 10 days. And it seems that it will no longer be possible with the G7 and people will just have to purchase more sensors. So I expect there to be a bit of controversy around this topic. When it comes to wear time, the FreeStyle Libre 3 will work for 14 days, so no change to the previous version. The G7 wear time at launch will be 10 days, and this is a bit disappointing because Dexcom has been talking about extending the wear time beyond 10 days. They say that clinical studies show consistent performance over a period of 16 days, but the 16-day wear time was not part of the initial clinical trial. So Dexcom will have to initiate additional clinical trial to enable their users to use the G7 for more than 10 days. And they will probably be aiming somewhere around 14, 15, maybe 16 days. So let's see if the G7 will be able to catch up with the FreeStyle Libre 3 in terms of wear time anytime soon. Another thing I want to look at is the warm-up time. And here we don't have a clear winner because Dexcom managed to reduce the G7 warm-up time from 2 hours to 1 hour. And FreeStyle Libre 3 warm-up time is 1 hour as well. Now keep in mind that although the warm-up time is only 1 hour, the clinical studies show that the accuracy of both of these systems is a bit lower on day 1 and the accuracy improves on day 2. So although the warm-up time is short, the accuracy on day 1 is not the best. Speaking of accuracy, you probably know that we measure accuracy of CGM systems by something called MART, mean average relative difference. And the lower the MART percentage is, the more accurate the system is. When it comes to MART, it's a bit tricky to compare FreeStyle Libre 3 and Dexcom G7 because both companies share the information in a little bit different format. But from the information shared, it seems that Dexcom G7 shows SMART of approximately 8.5% and Libre 3 shows SMART same as Libre 2, which is approximately 9.2%. So Dexcom G7 looks slightly more accurate, but keep in mind that anything below 10% is a really accurate CGM, and it depends a bit on what type of user you are, because for some users FreeStyle Libre 3 might be more accurate, and for other users Dexcom G7 might be more accurate. Another advantage of Dexcom when it comes to accuracy is that Dexcom typically lets you calibrate the sensor readings right within the native app, and I don't expect this to be different with the G7. FreeStyle Libre 3, including the early drop of the third generation, doesn't let you do that. So when your sensor is not accurate, you just have to send it back. You can't calibrate it within the native FreeStyle Libre app. Now I want to talk a bit more about apps and connectivity. Dexcom promised that the G7 will be paired with brand new all-in-one app, which will include real-time glucose information combined with personalized insights. So it seems that this is one of their focus areas, and I'm really curious how this new app will look. If you watched my FreeStyle Libre 3 unboxing video, then you probably know that Libre 3 also has a new app, but the app is very similar to the Libre Link app. One of the users who already tested the Libre 3 app hasn't seen many improvements other than a dark mode and the fact that the app now displays the glucose readings minute by minute. Before I tell you when I think the FreeStyle Libre 3 and the Dexcom G7 be available, I want to share my thoughts on what I like the best about each of these solutions. For me, the most important things are accuracy, size, and connectivity to insulin pump and other devices. Libre 3 and Dexcom G7 both seem to provide very accurate results, at least on the paper, so I love them both. Okay, G7 might be slightly better, but not a deal breaker for me. When it comes to size, Libre 3 is a clear winner. It seems to be smaller, thinner, and I can imagine it will be more comfortable to wear for most people. I really like that design. In terms of connectivity, Dexcom G7 seems to be the winner for me, because Dexcom says that they will keep the data available to third-party developers, and they encourage third-party developers to develop more apps that would integrate with Dexcom G7. At least that's how I read the statements that the CEO made in some of the interviews. Now, FreeStyle Libre 2, for example, in the US still doesn't work with the native Libre Link app because this one was not approved by FDA, so people still has to use the blue reader to receive the data from their sensors. So I really like what Dexcom is doing when it comes to connectivity, and I have a feeling that FreeStyle Libre is falling behind a little bit. And when it comes to integration with insulin pumps, Dexcom seemed to be a couple steps ahead of Abbott and working with all key algorithms, which will probably allow them to connect to most insulin pumps with the G7 and create a closed loop. And this is a big one, at least for me. So when will these bad boys be available? I think, and this is just a pure speculation, that the FreeStyle Libre 3 will be available to wider public in Germany really soon. Maybe in a couple weeks, maybe a month. And then, in the following month, it will become available in more European countries. The Dexcom G7, and again, I'm just speculating here, I think it will see the light of day in the United States in the second half of 2021, and in the other countries even later. Guys, if you want to connect with me directly and ask any questions, then definitely check out the first link in the description below. The link will take you to my Patreon site, where you can receive quite a few perks. You can access VIP live streams, behind the scenes videos, and direct messaging channel, where you can ask me any questions and I guarantee response. And I want to sincerely thank to all of you who already joined my Patreon site. Your support truly means a lot to me, and it allows me to create even more of these videos for you. Guys, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next Type 1 Talks video really soon. Ciao!